What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name is Michael Roman. A lot of you guys have asked me to do a death predictions video, so today I'm going to break down the top 5 Avengers most likely to die in Avengers Endgame, and some of them may not be who you think. But first, if you could grab the subscribe button, we're giving away 2 PlayStation 4 Pros, as well as a whole slew of other Marvel-related stuff. All you have to do, hit the subscribe button, leave a like and a comment on this video, then hit the notification bell and stick around to the end of the video. I'll get into all the giveaway stuff again there. So we certainly know from all the synopsises and teasers that there's one thing they all had in common, and that's that the consequences and stakes for this movie will be as high as ever. And man, if the consequences and stakes are as high or higher than Infinity War, they're pretty high. So chances are some of these Avengers, whether they got dusted or not in Infinity War, are not going to make it out of Avengers Endgame alive. Except this time, there'll be no time travel on the horizon in Avengers 5 and Avengers 6 to unseal that fate, so they'll pretty much be gone forever in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, there's a lot of characters I think we can go ahead and rule out for simple reasons. That's that they have sequels to their movies coming out in the next year or two. So right off the bat, Black Widow has a movie next year. Now, I know what you're thinking, that's a prequel, but hey, I don't think Marvel would do a lame duck scenario and kill a character that has a feature coming out next year, so she's off the list. Of course, that goes for Black Panther, Doctor Strange, and Spider-Man. By extension, we've seen Nick Fury in the trailer already, so they're off the list as well. They're not going to die in this movie and then somehow again come back in the next. I would also like to throw out there's been talk of an Ant-Man 3, and while this doesn't exactly preclude him from being able to be killed, I think it's probably likely, since he was added so late to the roster and there's a chance for a follow-up Wasp Ant-Man movie, that they'll leave him in the mix. I think we can also safely take Hulk and Thor off the list, Thor being a demigod, and also rumors of a Thor 4 and him continuing into the cosmic phase, as he does fit nicely into the power level of the characters that we'll have in the next phase. And you want to leave some of these guys around, especially the ones that can compete on a cosmic scale with characters like Captain Marvel instead of most of the Earthbound original Avengers. I think also safely we can take Hulk off the list because arguably he's immortal. You can discuss that in the comments. Let me know if you think otherwise, but I'm pretty sure that he can't die. So with all these Avengers off the list, it really dwindles down the pool to only a handful of characters I think Marvel's willing to kill going forward. So here it is, the top 5 Avengers most likely to die in Avengers Endgame. Number 5 is Hawkeye, an original member of the team that you could kill to gain the purchase power of killing an original Avenger without having to sacrifice too much. And I know that sounds like such a casual shrug aside, but he has been a character they've been writing out of the main theme of the Avengers, not one that's ever featured as prominently as some of the others. And while he is an original member, he was not able to find a role in Infinity War, one of the most dramatic installments. So if the Russos and Kevin Feige are in the business of killing another Avenger outside of one of the main ones, which, guys, I think they are, then I think you could be sure that Hawkeye is probably one of the first to go. Now, the next on my list is Drax, and you can throw the rest of the Guardians of the Galaxy in there with this. Now, I know technically they're not Avengers, but hear me out. Dave Bautista was one of the most outspoken in defense of James Gunn and said some pretty insane things when it comes to his employer, Disney. Now, do I think Disney would vindictively write him out as backlash for things he said? No, but I also think with how much uncertainty there is surrounding Guardians of the Galaxy 3, it would also be no sweat off their back to make it a little bit easier by removing him from the whole picture entirely. Now, before you jump into the comments to let me know that Kevin Feige confirmed they would do a Guardians of the Galaxy 3, you're right, that's true. He did confirm they would do a Guardians of the Galaxy 3 on a red carpet. He said with which script and when and where, they don't know. With that kind of uncertainty in Hollywood, they've got at least 2 years, if not 3, before that movie is actually made, meaning that 1 or 2 deaths off the original team could help propel the drama. And again, if Dave Bautista really made the wrong people mad, it's not off the table. However, if you want my honest opinion on that, I honestly do not think Disney would take to rewrites to specifically write out a certain character based on something like that. Now, moving on back to number 3, an actual Avenger, and an Avenger I do think will pass away in this film, as it was foreshadowed in an earlier film, War Machine, Don Cheadle, Rhodey. Unfortunately, I think that scene in Civil War when he hit the ground could have easily been his death. And if you're trying to kill off original members again to get the purchase power and the drama of losing those old school players, losing the ones that actually mean the most, War Machine would mean the most to not only us, the viewers, but to Tony Stark. So emotionally and empathetically through Tony Stark, we would feel twice as much as our own connection to him. Now, I love War Machine. I think he's a great addition to the team. I think switching over to Don Cheadle was a great option, and I think he's worked really well with the team, but also I will feel a million times worse when I see the tears streaming down Tony Stark's face as he watches his best friend and our best friend by proxy, Rhodey, die. Also, War Machine doesn't really fill a role in the cosmic universe going forward. As I said, you want to leave some of the highest power level characters around so that you have some of that conductivity, that through tissue from the earlier phases into the cosmic universe and the next 10 years of films. However, a character like Rhodey, an original Avenger who uses guns, doesn't really fit the cosmic bill, rather is an earthbound hero, like I mentioned earlier. Now, moving directly into number 2, none other than Tony Stark himself. Now, I know this kind of gives away number 1, and we'll get to that in time, but the idea that Tony Stark might pass away in this movie is nothing new. He's been at the top of people's death prediction lists since the beginning. And if you're an avid follower of the channel and or channels like mine, or an Avenger theorist yourself and a purist, then you'd understand the dichotomy between Captain America and Iron Man and why people would guess that one of them is going to be the one to die here in Avengers Endgame. But does it have to be both? Can it be both? The idea that Marvel Studios would go ahead and nix both of the faces of their franchise, the guys who have carried the banner for the last 10 years in one foul swoop, or should I say one foul snap, is kind of hard to believe. The idea that they would kill both characters and not leave one behind, like I said, to at least add that layer of tissue that goes back through the original decade of movies into hopefully the next decade. Now, I honestly believe Tony Stark takes number 2 because Captain America takes number 1. But whichever one you believe in, one of them is not going to make it out of this movie alive. Now, it's more than just Chris Evans' sign-off on Twitter, his tearful sign-off thanking everybody for these last 10 years that seemed to indicate that he would be leaving the franchise forever. However, retiring would do the exact same thing. A lot of people have also noted that Tony Stark's very noticeable absence from any of the Spider-Man Far From Home promotion, when Iron Man has been the main connector to the Avengers, all the Spider-Man promotions before this, is pretty interesting. But I went ahead and suggested, as I do believe, he's probably just on his honeymoon following his marriage to Pepper Potts, and quite honestly doesn't want anything to do with anything Avengers ever again. I've said this in several other videos, that Iron Man may have finally found his peace in defeating Thanos, if that's truly the thing that's been bugging him, as he's let everybody know exhaustively through all of these Avengers movies. Then, with the resolution of defeating Thanos and Avengers Endgame, Tony may have finally found the resolution of both his insatiable call to protect the Earth and his story arc, meaning that he could simply step back into the back part of the MCU and stay there as a member who could always come out of the woodwork later down the road in an Avengers 5, in an Avengers 6, and I think having at least one of the main Avengers, Captain America or Iron Man, with the ability to do that, with the ability to show back up during that secret invasion, to show back up during that Annihilation event 5-6 years down the road, is the kind of thing that Marvel Studios was working on the entire time. You don't build a universe like this with a character that has the lore like Captain America and or Tony Stark in the MCU, that has all of the on-screen time, the 7 or 6 movies, 7, 8, that it is for each of them. You don't do that and then nix both of them. So while one may go, and I believe it's Captain America, one will stay to actually cash in later down the road, and it's going to be so awesome if we are all still this much in these movies down the road in Avengers 6 when we haven't heard hide nor hair of Tony Stark, and all of a sudden he shows up to fight side by side with the Fantastic Four. Guys, let me know what you think in the comments. First of all, if there was someone that you definitely think is in the top 5 that I left off the list, feel free to let me know. Also, weigh in on that final ranking. Do you actually think that Tony Stark is more likely to die than Captain America in this next installment, or both, or neither? I want to hear your guys' thoughts, and quickly let's get into the giveaway stuff before I let you go. All right, we're giving away 2 PlayStation 4 Pros, one at the 300,000 and one at the 400,000 subscriber mark. We're also giving away this awesome Avengers 1 plaque. It's an Avengers 1 commemorative plaque containing 10 original film cells from the first Avengers movie. If you want to win this or the PlayStations, same rules apply. All you have to do, hit the subscribe button, leave a like and a comment on this video, then hit the notification bell, because the more videos that you like and comment on, the better chance you have of winning. My name is Michael Roman. This is Everything Always. If you've been with me since the beginning, I cannot thank you enough. I appreciate every single one of you. If you're just finding my channel, thanks for checking it out, and stick around. We'll be posting again real soon.